character intros, and then we'll drop you in. We'll go.
Real quick, should we do our character's look as well?
Yeah, if you want to drop in a couple of details for the look, that would be great. I can give you a minute to do that.
That's on page 3 of the book. I don't think I saw it anywhere in the character keeper.
In basics, CC1 basics, they've got some ideas for appearance and dress in the upper left. Oh, and I posted the map. It's on the character keeper first page down below at the very bottom.
Oh, there it is. And when we're doing these intros, would you like us to include entanglements and like do the full discussion of that, or keep it simpler?
Yeah, why don't you maybe just highlight one or two aspects of the entanglement. Let's not go into a lot of detail. I think it's kind of hard to follow along when you're listening after the fact, but yeah, maybe kind of highlight one or two things or one of the other NPCs that the entanglements raise. Dean, if you're ready, why don't you introduce us to Swift Hair?
It would be my pleasure to introduce you to Swift Hair. Swift Hair uses the pronouns he, him. He is a member of the Blossoming Song Academy and is a practitioner of the Field of Woe fighting style, which is focused on exhausting the enemy, hiding from the enemy, making them use up their resources to try to undermine them in that way, use their own energy against them. Let's see, Swift Hair is need to wear brightly dyed clothes, very loose and flowing, colorful silks, has long hair done up into man buns that kind of look like mimicking the a hare's ears just a little bit. Let's see, he's got eyes that you just want to deeply gaze into, and has a tendency to leave people happy wherever he goes, although occasionally trouble follows in his wake, but it's not his fault.
Never. And tell me, what does Blossoming Song do? What is that academy about?
Blossoming Song Academy is about sharing the joy of life with the people who are out in the world. Basically, there is so much woe and misery in the world that the Blossoming Song Academy seeks to bloom joy and fun in the lives of people. And that's why I go from town to town, attempting to bring joy and passion and creativity and fun wherever I go.
And trying not to break any hearts along the way. Thanks.
I have never broken a heart. I try to leave people better than I have found them.
I believe you. I've got Hallowed Night next. David, can you introduce us to Hallowed Night?
Be happy to. Hallowed Night is a student of the School of the Ebony Brush. This is a old traditional calligraphy school where she has displayed a great deal of natural aptitude, and she uses the martial style Path of Falling Stars. It is a spear-based martial arts style which emulates the strokes and pointedness of calligraphy, but with a large and deadly spear rather than a calligraphy brush. She wears a deep, flowing, dark, somewhat floral robe, which again is intended to emulate the billowing scripts that she is so adept in creating. And it's funny that Swift Hair has never broken a heart because Hallowed Night is deeply in love with him, despite the fact that her calligraphy teacher, Dai Wen, killed someone very, very, very dear to him.
Nicely done. When did you start to adapt your calligraphy skills to fighting? Was that something that you discovered on your own, or did someone start to train you in it?
I believe I believe Hallowed Knight would have been pressured into it. I don't think that she would have recognized her own aptitude in something as brutish as fighting. But I imagine that someone, perhaps her calligraphy teacher, perhaps even Swift Hare, while he was wandering through town, identified her ability and encouraged her to do it. Maybe she even took up the spear after being encouraged by the object of her admiration, Swift Hare. It's possible.
Nicely done, thanks.
Yeah.
And Alex, tell us about Scarlet Whirlwind.
Yeah, Scarlet Whirlwind is a student of the Obsidian Doctrine faction, which is kind of a shady, unrighteous faction. I think they have a lot of like underground temples with like lava rivers flowing through them and stuff. So they've got that kind of aesthetic going on. Her fighting style is the consuming fire, because as the prodigy, she is cursed with a power beyond her ability to control, and she tries to control it using chains that are sort of wrapped around her to try and like ward off whatever mysterious thing is causing the explosions of her power. She's got flashing eyes. I think sometimes like literally, which is a little disconcerting. And her hair has a long single braid down the back. It's close cropped, and I think it's sort of like maybe a little anachronistically shaved on the side, so she has kind of like a punky look. And then she is bare armed with like the chain, like a very thin sort of silver chain wrapping around, going down her arms, and like a sort of a martial arts outfit with the sleeves torn off.
Nice.
For my entanglements.
Oh yeah, go for it.
I'm engaged to Righteous Deer, but have fallen in love with her sibling, Swift Hare. Everybody loves Swift Hare.
And I love you back. However,
true.
your sister Lang Shi, considers me beneath you.
We'll see if she's right. And also, my master, Grand Fox, has secretly trained me as part of a revenge plot against my friend, Hallowed Knight.
How did you get involved with Obsidian Doctrine?
I think that they have like a test that they'll run on people to see if they have sort of an aptitude for like the weird kind of sorcery that they use. And I think that it responded incredibly strongly when they like came by my village. Maybe they have a bowl of water that they make you hold and like see how the water reacts. And in my case, it like started boiling away to steam instantly.
Like a midichlorian test or something.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I've added Obsidian Doctrine's headquarters as a possible location because lava flowing underneath is just too tempting. Is that like in this town, or is it adjacent to the town, or a day's walk from the town? How close is Obsidian Doctrine's sort of palace?
It's like a couple of hours walk like out into the desert, I guess.
Okay. Oh, nice. Okay. Cool. So I assume, Swift Hare, you are now back in town, and I'm also assuming that this is your hometown because your sibling, Righteous Deer, lives here. Is that fair to say?
I mean, as much as I would call any place a hometown, yes.
But Righteous Deer does live here because
yes.
she is engaged to Scarlet Whirlwind. Just want to make sure we've got that.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So, and it's the time of the festival that happens every 10 years as a way of praying for a bountiful catch from the river. This is a village that is along a major river, and largely people in this village are fishers, and they come together every 10 years to have a kind of this week-long festival that is meant to help them get a bountiful catch in the coming years. The last festival was 10 years ago, and Let me ask, Hallowed Night, what do you remember from the festival from 10 years ago?
I imagine that there was, I could see this awe-inspiring fireworks show
Nice.
as being the thing that stands out to me about it.
That was maybe the thing that you were looking forward to most because it made such an impression on you when you
I
were.
think that's perfect.
That's great. And Scarlet Whirlwind, what were you most, what do you anticipate being different this year in the festival?
Let's see. I think that I've heard rumors that the food is going to be really good this year. There's going to be like a particular, sort of not exactly like a celebrity chef, but like a person who is renowned for their culinary skills is going to be potentially coming through for the festival.
Can you look at the list of names and maybe pick out a name for that celebrity chef who obviously needs to be an NPC in this while I ask Swift Hair, do you play a role in this festival? I mean, is that maybe the reason why you've come back for this?
Absolutely, absolutely. The first time that or the last time I was at this festival, I was only beginning to learn to play the shamisen, and judging by the reaction of the women in the crowd to having played the Asian guitar, I learned that is a powerful tool for spreading joy, and I've come back to spread that joy here in my hometown.
So you were actually going to perform at the
Yes.
festival?
Yes, just like playing the shamisen, playing some songs, some classic songs, maybe also some Enter Sandman, just trying to make sure that, everybody, and just enjoy some music while they're going about what they're doing with a little kind of like uh, tip hat, out in front. So.
That's fantastic. And the name of that instrument is?
The shamisen. It's the banjo-looking Asian instrument that kind of looks like a box with the fret going up. I literally just Googled it. I did not know what it was called before here, but I just didn't want to say guitar.
Yeah, so. That's awesome. And Scarlet Whirlwind, do we have a name for that celebrity chef?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that his name is Wei.
All right, I thought you were gonna say Jose Andres, but that's maybe someone else. Cool. Okay, so the festival is well underway. I'm actually imagining Swift Hair, you're kind of getting ready for your performance, and since you're so appreciated for your music, you're meant to go on immediately following one of the main parts of this ceremony, which is to reveal the Rod of Destiny. And this is a fishing rod that was used by the very first person who settled in this area to catch the first carp out of the river. And this fishing rod has been in this village's possession for centuries, really, and it's kind of the cornerstone of this particular festival. What is let me ask Hollow Knight, what is one aspect of the ceremony of bringing out the rod? What is like part of that? Do you have a sense of what part of that ritual is?
I envision a small parade almost. It's something the village is very proud of. And so there's this great, kind of this great bustling procession that's really more occasion for joy than solemn reverence.
Yep, that's good. I almost picture them kind of coming down through the crowd, carrying the lacquer box maybe above their heads or something like that, and they kind of go up on the stage, I guess. And at that moment, they open the box, and a gasp comes up from the crowd. When it is revealed, the Rod of Destiny is missing, and in place is a sword. We recognize this sword as belonging to Quiet Flute, who's a mysterious warrior who the town knows by reputation. Scarlet Whirlwind, what distinguishes this as Quiet Flute's sword? How do we know it's Quiet Flute's sword?
I'm gonna say, and stop me if this is too silly, the sword is also a flute. Like it's a long sort of two-handed sword that has a long guard on it, and the hilt of the sword has holes drilled into it and is able to be played as a flute.
Well, that was amazing. Any concerns or objections to flute as sword?
Love it.
Yeah. Sword, flute. And where are you, Scarlet Whirlwind, when this is revealed?
I am, I think I'm a little bit away from it because I'm like waiting over by the food stalls, like where they're still setting stuff up.
You're waiting for Way to come.
Yeah.
And serve his famous dumplings. Yep. Swift Hair, I imagined you were getting prepped for your performance when this happened. How do you react when you see the Rod of Destiny is missing?
Obviously, I hit as I'm kind of tuning my my instrument. I hit an awkward note as that happens. Just like, what? Oh my goodness! This is. I cannot believe that this has happened. The Rod of Destiny, that is so important to our culture and to where we are. You can't kill a carp with Quiet Flute sword. I mean, technically you could, but you'd have to be like Crocodile Dundee. So I think that I'm sorry, I'm getting goofy. I should stay focused. But yes, this is appalling and has to be fixed. We have to take action, and by taking action, if I am able to go and reclaim the Rod of Destiny from Quiet Flute, then perhaps I will be able to be worthy, to be shown worthy in the eyes of Lang Shi for my loves of Scarlet Whirlwind.
Nice. Where is Lang Shi right now?
Well, I do my best to make sure that I always know where she is so that I cannot embarrass myself in front of her. And she is currently getting herself, or she was in the crowd waiting for the unveiling of the Rod of Destiny. So she's like up front. So I kind of like look over and lock eyes with her. And for no reason, she gives me a dirty look.
Yeah. Or for all the reasons. Yes.
Yeah, probably that.
So when you were making the speech about needing to find it, was this a speech that you were making to everyone, or was it sort of in your mind?
I'm not known for being quiet, so it was probably out loud.
All right, so you were sort of making the speech to the assembled crowd, like, we must find the Rod of Destiny.
Yes, who is with me?
Oh, nice. And Hallowed Night, where are you when all of this is going down?
I imagine that Hallowed Night would be kind of meandering about the festival with a few of her friends from the calligraphy school. And the thing that separates her reaction from those of her friends is that everyone in her friend group is thinking, oh my gosh, where's the Rod? What's going to happen? And I'm over here like, oh my gosh, does this mean that Swift Hair's performance is canceled? Am I not going to get to see him? And so that's the source of my concern until the speech happens. And then I'm like, how can I impress this guy at all costs? I'm with him. And that's my motivation.
Okay. So you want to join up with Swift Hair's
Absolutely
approach. Okay. Meanwhile, Scarlet Whirlwind, while you're standing at the food stand, your teacher, Grand Fox, sidles up to you. What do you say to him?
Let's see. I think I give him a kind of a sidelong look, and then we both pretend that we are not talking to each other, because that's how we do. And I say something really oblique that is me like asking if this is a plan of his, but it's in like code. So I say like, oh, I wonder how long it will be until the food stall opens.
That is truly in code.
Very coded.
So let's do a roll. So this feels like hearts and minds. When you pressure someone susceptible to your words, say what you're trying to get them to do and roll. So what are you trying to get Grand Fox to do?
I think I'm trying to get him to open up to me about what his plans are for once.
Okay, nice. So the way this works is you pick an element to roll with. So, and you might pick one based on, obviously you can play to your strengths, but for dramatic appeal, you might pick one that kind of describes how you're doing it. So, for example, if you are being creative, you might pick with fire, or if you're trying to be cautious, you might pick earth. But I'll leave it up to you which one you want to roll with.
I think I will pick earth, because this is sort of a cautious, present-focused move. Earth is the worst stat of mine. I have a -1, and I have rolled a 5, so my total is 4.
Sweet. Nicely done. So on a, you would have normally gotten him to do something, but since you rolled a 6 minus, Grand Fox instead walks, gives you a dirty look and simply says to you, as I've said, I need you to keep an eye on Hallowed Night. Wherever she goes, you must go. And walks away.
Ooh.
What do you do?
And I just, right, like I'm not overly good at concealing my frustration, and I think I'm like, all right, being left out of his plans again? Okay, this is fine, this is fine. I'll just be a puppet with no idea where I'm going. And I do, as I am a dutiful student who is being trained to secretly destroy Hallowed Night, I will look around for my good friend.
Okay. Meanwhile, as Swifthair is making his speech, Shining Eagle enters or stomps up onto the stage. Shining Eagle is surrounded by a bunch of constables. Shining Eagle is kind of the lead head constable, and he says to you, Swifthair, this is a matter for the law. You will not get involved. What do you do?
I understand, but this is not only a matter for the law, but this is a matter for the community. How can you tell me not to engage with my community to try and make it better and to seek out what has wronged the community? You have to work within the bounds of the law. I work within the bounds of the community and for the heart of the community.
And I think he interrupts you at some point and says, enough with the fancy words. This is a matter for the law, and if you don't stay out of it, we will consider you a suspect as well.
I completely understand. I would just ask that if I were able to stay out of your way, and more quietly, I say, if I'm able to stay out of your way, I will do so. That way I will not cause any problem with your own investigations. But I feel I must go where I am led and attempt to make right what is wrong.
He says, fine. And he looks at his goons and he gives a head shake and he stomps off the stage. And the goons, the other constables, kind of step up and start to crack their knuckles and get their weapons ready, and they move in to you. What do you do?
I'm going to begin strumming my guitar and playing a song to try a song that is sad, but it's about like seeking that which the heart needs. Basically, I'm kind of playing a song to play into the emotions that everyone in the crowd is having, to make sure that they kind of like experience something together. Basically, I'm starting the concert in the hope that they're not going to stab me while I'm actually singing.
Yes.
Who knows how this will go? I'm really good at running, so let's try the concert thing first.
Okay, hold that thought. Hallowed Night, you see the man that you love being threatened by the local law enforcement, or I'm asking, do you see that? And if so, what do you do?
I do, and I am absolutely infuriated by this. This is a complete breach of the law. He has done nothing wrong, so I will rush forward and try to put myself between the goons and him, such that they almost have to get through me to get to him. And I'm not brandishing my spear threateningly, but I will hold my hand up and say, "What are you doing? This man's done nothing wrong. Let him play his songs."
Great. And Scarlet Whirlwind, where are you in all of this?
Let's see. I was heading towards Hollowed Knight, who then has leapt to the stage. And I think I'm going to hang back for the moment. I think the two of them have the situation pretty well in hand. I think one of the things that I like about Swift Hair is that he is funny when he tries to get out of scrapes. So I kind of enjoy watching that.
Okay. Meanwhile, Lang Shi, who is your sister, who does not really like Swift Hair, comes up to you and says, "You see what I mean? Do you see what I'm talking about?" So we're going to pause on that. Hallowed Knight, are you attacking the goons?
I will not be the first person to aggress here. If they draw weapons and move, I will make efforts to defend myself, but I will not attack law enforcement unless I am threatened or he, Swift Hair, is threatened.
They're coming after Swift Hair with truncheons drawn. They're coming. They're going to attack him.
Okay, well then I'm going to, as non-lethally as possible, perhaps with the non-bladed end of my spear, attempt to fend these people off by whatever means necessary to protect this guy.
Okay, so we're going to trigger a move called Deal with Troops. That is on the basic moves sheet. It's in the lower left-hand corner. When you fight a group of foes who are collectively below your scale, roll with your style element. So we're going to say these are, although they're law enforcement officers, you have been honing your style, Path of Falling Stars. So we'll say that you are above their scale. Scale is basically an abstract measure that simply says, compared to other people, are you a better fighter or worse fighter than they are? One of the things that we want to get to is you facing, or any of you facing, someone above your scale. You'll automatically lose that battle, but it'll sort of create an opportunity for you to train more. And when I've played this before, the training montage is one of the most fun scenes to describe. But for right now, Hallowed Knight is confronting a set of goons. So I'm going to ask you to pick, I guess you need to pick your style element, wood, and roll with your style element.
So we are rolling with wood.
Yes.
Got it. So that's a +2. 9 + 2 is 11.
Your luck has held.
Yeah.
So that's great. So on a hit, you defeat them, and on a 10+, which you got, you do so easily. What does this look like? Describe this fight to us.
I think that Hallowed Knight is young and recognizes that she is on a stage, and she cannot resist the opportunity to show off a little bit. So I think she's doing these very exaggerated, almost dance-like fighting moves as she's fending these people off, knocking them off the stage into the crowd. It's almost like a performance more so than a battle.
Nice. How is there anyone in the crowd who sees you and is surprised by what they see? They thought you were just a quiet little calligraphy student.
I would say a lot of the friends that I came here to the festival with, they didn't know that I had this hobby. What is this? And that's the shock that emanates from them.
Take a moment to kind of think about one of those friends' names. Let's add them to the mix. And I'm going to go over to Swift Hair. I feel like it's not quite a good fit, but I like using this move called Impress. When you act to impress others or succeed at a competition, describe your performance and role. So you are playing the guitar. Do you want to give us any more flavor around that?
Absolutely. So I start off with like, a sad song trying to like bring in the crowd, like I said, but then I see like Hollowed Knight jump up here and begin fighting these people. Something that I was trying to avoid, but shit, you lean into what you got.
Yeah.
So I start like what is it? I kind of use my foot and flip a tambourine towards someone in the front of the crowd. And then I begin playing my shamisen to like a high energy song to kind of almost like, and everyone knows that it's a fight, but at least like it's got music going with it. So I'm trying to kind of like syncopate the rhythm with Hollowed Knight beating up these cops. So so that's what I'm going to attempt to do to try and like impress the crowd, to try and bring them, I don't know, to try and get them to not rush the stage in a bad way. So
well, I feel like you're trying to sort of get the crowd on your side, right?
Yes. I what I want is like, to just do the thing.
All right.
All right. So that's, go ahead.
Which element are you going to roll with?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see.
What is this body?
I mean, I think that it's going to be like speed and passion seems to fit what I'm trying to do here, especially considering like there's a fight going on and everything.
Yep.
So that will be with fire.
Love it.
So let's go ahead and roll it. That is an awesome 6, which is still a failure. So yeah, that was great.
What is that? What happens in that failure? I'm imagining like a string breaks or.
Well, like it's one of those things that like in my head, the way I thought that it was going to play out was just that awesome description that I gave you. But in reality, like I use my foot to throw the tambourine to someone thinking that they're going to like help out. And it hits a little old lady in the forehead. And then like, like I begin playing, and then like as the grandchildren of this little old lady like make sure that she's okay, then they start to rush the stage in kind of a bad way. And so I just kind of like say like thank you everybody, and like depart the stage quickly.
Okay.
As like the two grandchildren are trying to come and get me.
You are off the stage. The crowd, even these grandchildren, are like, forget this guy. He's not as good as he was 10 years ago. And everyone's just sort of like slowly dispersing, kind of disappointed, but still a little amazed by what they saw Hallowed Knight do. The goons are also gone because Hallowed Knight dispatched of them quickly. Hallowed Knight, you're now, I think, alone on the stage. But let's come back to Scarlet Whirlwind. Lang Shi now has even more evidence that Swift Hair is it okay if I call you a loser, Swift Hair?
Yes.
Especially from Lang Shi's perspective, she's like, what do you see in this guy? Now, you are engaged to Righteous Deer, and I don't know how we ended up with one completely ridiculous brother and one completely ridiculous sibling and another amazing sibling. You are engaged to Righteous Deer. Why don't you just accept that? She says to you.
Yeah, I think I'm a little curious to define that. So Swiftwind, what is like a quality that you have that I like that is the opposite in your sister?
You're asking Swift Hair?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think what it is my aloofness. I think that Righteous Deer has a tendency to be very responsible, and Swift Hair is not irresponsible, but definitely not someone that you would call responsible.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think that Swift Deer is, or Righteous Deer is just a little bit of a fuddy-duddy. She's a little bit of a stickler for the rules. And of course, I'm talking about my emotions obliquely, so I don't actually say that. But I say, what do I do? I have to say some sort of weird metaphor or something. Jeez. So I think I say, well, the shell that is so unappealing on a turtle looks much more interesting when it's on a fox.
That was great. And I feel like we need to trigger inner conflict now.
That's fair.
Would you say that you are experiencing some emotional turmoil, this pressure coming from your sister, your sibling, about your engagement and the person that you love? Would you say inner conflict is kind of where you're at?
Yeah, I think I'm responding very glibly, but her words are definitely still hitting home.
Okay, so you can mark XP here, whatever that's worth in a one shot, and you can roll. So you roll, but you roll anything but your style element. So that means if your style element is fire, you can roll any of the 4 others.
All right.
Roll with.
I think I will roll with. Let's see. I think I'm trying to be like flexible by like holding both of my obligations in my mind at the same time, which I'm bad at because I have a 0 in water. So let's get some more potential fails going. I got a 6. If only I had a +1.
Well, you can burn a bond to get you to 7 if you want.
I don't think that's quite dramatically appropriate yet.
All right. So you can now flee the scene. So you're in this conversation with your sibling. You can flee the scene, or you can mark an element. Marking an element is sort of the closest thing that we get to hit points in this game. It means you cannot roll with that element, and you mark the element that you rolled with. So you rolled with water, was that right?
Yeah.
So you would mark water, and you're no longer allowed to roll with water until you clear that mark.
Okay.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to flee or do you want to mark?
I think given the stakes, I'm all right with fleeing this scene, especially because it'll be more fun and awkward. So I think what I say is that I get a little lost in my metaphor, and I'm like, yeah, see the shell that doesn't look good on a turtle, it looks better on a fox, and Righteous Deer is like the turtle, but then I'm the fox. No, wait, okay. And then if you put a fox's tail onto a turtle, that's what Swift, and she's just looking at me like I am completely speaking nonsense, and I'm just turn red and just like, oh look, is that the hey look, it's Wei, the famous chef is over there, and I just walk in the other direction as soon as she looks, just blending in with the crowd.
Hallowed Night. You're on stage, you've just defeated the goons. I feel like this is sort of your Spider-Man leaping out the window moment.
Yeah, this is horribly awkward. Like she shifted from being really excited about how cool she looks to now just being on stage, having potentially committed a serious law violation with no particular gain to be had. So she's going to look after where Swift Hair ran off to try to track him down and just take off in that direction in an effort to contact him.
Okay, great. Any reason, Swift Hair, that Hollow Knight can't find you?
No reason.
All right. So what do you do now? Now you're together. What do you say to him?
I will sort of breathlessly, push my way through audience members and people in the crowd, and I will say, Swift Hair, Swift Hair, Swift Hair, and I'm trying to track you down and talk to you. And
Hollowed Knight. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, Hollowed Knight, thank you so much for what you did up there. It was incredibly brave of you. And I give Hollowed Knight like a hug, a friendly hug from my perspective. And like, you know, you were amazing. I thought you just did calligraphy.
She is utterly stuttering and unable to really express herself the way she wants to. She says it was nothing. I just wanted to say that you're absolutely right. We have to do something about the missing rod, and I stand with you, Swift Hair. I'm on your side here.
Excellent. So we should go and find the Rod of Destiny. I do not trust that Shining Eagle will be able to do it. I think that Shining Eagle is going to be focusing too much on the paperwork that needs to be done, and it will slow Shining Eagle down. I believe that we can have this resolved faster, and we can be heroes of the town.
Yes, heroes. Whatever you say.
Yes, with my music and your spear, we should be able to take on anyone. I kind of like look around. I don't think anyone else has volunteered to come with us. Are you good at traveling overland? I have a tendency to just I've got a good head for direction, but I don't. Just kind of like look around, see if anybody else is going with us.
I can certainly learn.
Excellent. We should probably stop by the food carts and get some food to be on the way. Almost getting beat up by constables makes me hungry, and I would imagine that you're hungry too. So we should probably get some food.
Absolutely. I've heard that there's a chef or something that's supposed to be around who does especially excellent cuisine. Let's go that way.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Let's go.
You are at the market stalls now. You are waiting online to get dumplings from the famous chef Wei, and I think Dai Wen arrives and says, "Hello, Knight. I see you have taken your training to heart."
Of course I have, Master. You've taught me very well. Thank you for all that you've done.
He sort of looks at Swift Hair and is like, just sort of gives you a nod and says, "I hope you will not go on this fool's errand of seeking out the Rod of Destiny. Leave that to the authorities. You have training to continue."
And that's actually what she says in response. A fool's errand, but Master, this is the Rod of Destiny. Surely we cannot have too many people involved in the search for it. It's the most important fixture of this town.
He interrupts you while you're saying this, and he says, "Yes, fine, the town and its superstitions. It is merely a fishing rod. Training is where it is most important." Swift Hair, are you injecting yourself? Actually,
yeah.
I feel like Hollow Knight is experiencing some inner conflict. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah,
David. But Swift Hair, what did you want to do before we do that?
Absolutely. I wanted to inject and say that training is no good if you never actually exercise that which you are training for. I believe that the famous idiom of, the constable is like the turtle, slow and plodding, whereas like what we seek to do is take action like the fox, to go out into the field and to retrieve that which we seek. Do you want Hollowed Knight to live as a turtle, or should Hollowed Knight live as a fox?
He is completely not interested in anything you were saying. As the former owner of his enemy cat, he has already tuned you out. But I suspect this is creating even more inner conflict for Hollowed Knight. Yep. So you are going to roll with something that is not your style element. What are you going to roll with?
Right. Can I base my decision upon what condition might be most appropriate if I fail?
I love that. Sure.
Okay, I just didn't know if that was appropriate to do here. In that case, hate to say it, but I think I will have to go with water, which I have a -1 to.
You are, oh wait, sorry. You are Hollow Knight. Yes, that's fine. Go for it.
Okay. -1. 8 minus 1 is still 7.
Nice, well done. But again, you must either flee the scene or mark an element, which would be water in this case.
Right. I think it would make the most sense for me to mark an element here. And is that the condition next to each element?
See the checkbox next to water.
Oh, I mark the element. Okay, got it. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and so now you are not allowed to roll with water. Probably not a bad thing. But what is this? How does this inner conflict manifest itself if you're not fleeing the scene?
She's torn between two obligations. She can either stay true to her master, who she owes a great deal to, or she can stay true to her heart. And she's never had to make that call before.
Okay. Daiwen turns on gives you a look, and before he turns, he gives Swift Hair a stare and says, "Do not lead this one astray." Anything you want to say before he turns on his heel?
Meow.
Sort of gives you a quizzical look and walks off. We're getting close to the top of the hour. I want you all to have a lead of where you should go to look for this rod. We can, because right now you have no leads, I don't think. Do you want to make one up? Does anyone have an idea of what might inject some information into this?
I've got something. So the Sword of Quiet Flute, at the very bottom of the handle, there's tied a little silk onto it. And as is common in battle, the silks get, like pulled off, ripped, cut, whatever. The silk that's there is a particular style and color from a nearby community. So it kind of indicates to us that that Quiet Flute is most likely in or around that particular nearby community. So that gives us a place to kind of start seeking out Quiet Flute.
Great. David, Alex, any other ideas?
Might there be a way to incorporate Scarlet Whirlwind's underground temple into this?
Ooh.
That could be outside the town, that town where...
I can work with that, yeah.
I feel like maybe the town will lead us there. Obviously, the denouement needs to be at the lava flowing temple. Right? So
yes, 100%.
All right,
sounds good.
I like where that's going. Alex, any other ideas?
I'm down with what we've got so far.
Let me introduce an NPC here, then, and then we'll take a break. A woman walks past you on the line, and she sort of cuts to the front. She is well known to all of you. She's relatively young, but she's got sort of very, very well appointed clothing, really nicely done up hair. She's got a servant who walks with her, maybe two. She is Misty Swallow, and she's sort of the local landowner, right? So she sort of is one of the wealthiest people or probably the wealthiest person in this town. But she's ever since her parents died, she's become kind of a huge patron of the arts, and it was she who brought celebrity chef Wei to the town specifically for this festival. She wanted to really amp up the food truck scene at the festival. So Misty Swallow sort of cuts through the line and sort of raises her voice and says, I hope you all are enjoying the dumplings from Chef Wei, and I would like to offer free dumplings. I will pay for them for the next 50 customers. And the assembled crowd claps. As she's walking back, she leans over to you and to Hallowed Knight and to Swift Hair, and she says, I like what I saw earlier. Come find me in an hour at the Forest Temple.
Certainly.
How do we get, or do we need to role play Scarlet Whirlwind joining up with you two? Is Scarlet Whirlwind already at the temple, or has she sort of automatically joined up and we can just fast forward that part? What do y'all want to do?
Maybe since Swift Hair is such a traveler, meeting people and going around to places, maybe you have some sort of a thing that you give to people that will let you know, oh, I'm nearby and you can come see me. Oh, if you break this magic twig, then it will give you a sense of where I am.
Absolutely. Give those out to girls all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've met up with them.
Yeah.
You arrive at the Forest Temple. Let me ask Scarlet Whirlwind, is this Forest Temple in regular use, or is it been abandoned, or what's...
It's really cool if it's abandoned, so I'm gonna say that. I think it's kind of overgrown and dilapidated.
And Swift Hair, what's this temple made out of?
Sorry, my brain is just kind of stuck on some things and it's not working. I'm going to say bamboo. I will say that it's made out of bamboo.
I love it. I feel like it's sort of entwined in the forest itself. It's kind of woven into the trees.
Yeah, as the bamboo falls away, the trees and plant life have kind of pushed it out of the way and replaced it almost.
Nice. Lovely. And Hallowed Knight, who greets you at this temple? Who's the first person that you see?
Now let's see. I'm trying to think. If the temple is abandoned, I'm not able to really justify there being a blind monk or something like that there. Perhaps
he doesn't realize it's been abandoned.
Oh, there you go. It's possible. We're trying to meet with who was this woman? What was her name again?
Misty Swallow.
Misty Swallow. Yes. Perhaps she has a kind of a kindly elderly assistant who greets us there and will offer to bring us to her deeper within the temple.
That sounds great. Do you have a name for him? Any ideas off the top of your head?
Brother Moon.
Brother Moon steps up and says, we have been expecting you. And he shows you into the temple. You see a woman there, but it turns out not to be Misty Swallow at all, but Righteous Deer turns around and
fun.
And sees you.
And I think I have as we've been walking up and as I met up with Swift Hair, I was kind of like, you goofball, what are you doing? And had my arm draped over his shoulder very companionably.
So, which maybe not quite expressing our feelings obliquely.
That's true.
Or, okay. So you show up, and Righteous Deer is there, and she looks at Swift Hair, and she says, brother. And then she looks at Scarlet Whirlwind and says, betrothed. My mentor, Misty Swallow, wanted you to track down the Rod of Destiny. And she noticed that the sword had a detail on it that she had not noticed before. As you know, Misty Swallow is acquainted with many, many personages in the area, and she happens to know the mysterious Quiet Flute quite well. This detail on the sword indicated that it came from the next town up river.
And Scarlet Whirlwind has taken her arm off of Swift Hair and is sort of like nervously running one of the silver chains that she has wrapped around her arms, like through her fingers, feeling the links of it, and says, "Oh, I didn't expect to see you here, my betrothed. What a wonderful surprise."
I think we're just going to need to start out with a inner conflict.
Yeah, that's fair.
I can't even see how this is not inner conflict.
No, it really is.
Yeah.
So let me roll with.
Actually, hold that thought. Swift Hair, how do you react to your sibling being here?
I react to right here, and I tell her that I've taken loving care of your precious Scarlet Whirlwind. And in my mind, like, loving care is like the key words to me, but I'm speaking double speak to her. So yes, I took loving care of your precious Scarlet Whirlwind, or our precious Scarlet Whirlwind.
I feel like that would injure my character on like a deep emotional level, hearing you say that you took loving care of another person.
Oh no, emotional turmoil for everyone.
I think I think there's inner conflict all around, which is a first for me. So I also want to point out, Hallowed Knight, that you are not the biggest fan of Scarlet Whirlwind, right?
Exactly.
Her of evil. So
I think we're friends.
If anything, maybe I would be protective of Swift Hair. Like, wait, this person's not who you think they are. This is not as this, things are not as they seem, and I'm not saying that, but that's what's rushing through my head.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Well, Righteous Deer has said what she needed to say. You have your lead. How much do we want to roll these inner conflicts and see just how bad things get?
Yes.
I'm down for it.
Yep.
All right. So
I'm sorry. I play role-playing games to see how far down we can go.
Yeah, totally. Alex, why don't you go first?
Okie dokie. I'm going to roll with metal because I'm going to try to stay in control and calculation, which again, I'm bad at. And we got another 6. I'm going to be leveling up before too long. This is how you power level characters.
All right, so we have one fail. That's great. So that makes things much worse. Dean, why don't you roll?
Sure. So I'm going to be using Earth to attempt to maintain my focus and be cautious about what I say around my sibling.
Yes.
So I don't want to mess this up. Yep. And that is going to be an alternate universe success, also known as a failure in this timeline.
Things are going to get much worse. All right, David, it's up to you.
I'm going to roll with metal because I am trying to exercise calculation over what I should do and also control over Swift Hair and keeping him from falling into the horrible clutches of Scarlet Whirlwind. So +1, 3 + 1 is 4. That's a fail.
Gentlemen.
Yes.
We suck at inner conflict.
I want to hear from each of you as to what this breakdown looks like. We'll go in the same order. Alex, what does this look like?
Okay, so I have a control breakdown. I think I have been trying to keep my composure. I'm running this chain through my fingers. I've sort of walked over and I'm like staring out one of the like holes in the bamboo. And as I'm doing this, the chain starts to like heat up between my fingers.
Oh gosh.
And is like glowing, and I am totally not noticing this. And it's sort of a long chain, so like the length of it is draping down, and it is starting to light the temple on fire.
Perfect. Things got much worse. Swift Hair?
Righteous Deer, do you not see how your fiance is out of control in our presence? I think that I think that you make them nervous. I think that you spend entirely too much time not paying attention to the glory that is Scarlet Whirlwind, and that you spend too much time here with Misty Swallow, and that you should be tending to the needs of Scarlet Whirlwind. You should be by their side. You should be lovingly caring and touching them and caressing them. And I'm sorry, you have to excuse me. And I kind of walk a couple of steps away.
Love it. Nicely done. And Hello Night.
And I'm hearing him talk about the glory of Scarlet Whirlwind. What? I like step in and I'm so flustered and I like almost have tears in my eyes because I'm just like so unable to process how to handle this. I'm like, hang on, this is Swift Hair. Wait a second. There are too many people involved with this. This was supposed to be just you and me, and I don't know half of the other people who are involved in this, and we have too many people involved. This is I just begin kind of blubbering as tears begin to stream down my face, and it looks completely dramatic and manipulated and out of character for me, and it's probably very disconcerting to everyone. It really injures my credibility.
So people are freaking out. We've got Righteous Deer notices that the place is on fire. She's starting to question her decision to become engaged with a fire starter. She leaps out the window to clear out. As the fire is burning, you see shadows appear in the doorway, and two people, one holding a sword and one holding some chain-like weapon, a man and a woman, appear, and they say, you have taken things, the one says, you have taken things too far, and they move in to attack. What do you do?
I'm so flustered and frustrated. I feel like I would become uncharacteristically aggressive, like fighting through my tears, like trying to take all this internal angst out on someone or something.
Okay.
So I'm going to be prone to aggression.
So you're
Same.
You all are going to attack.
I'm going to hide.
Nice.
That's fair.
Swift like a hare. Yes, I love it.
I'm being played like a banjo.
I'm using my fighting style, Field of Woe.
Yeah.
Swift Hair, how do you hide? What do you do?
Sure. So this is kind of an overrun temple of bamboo and like ivy and trees and things like that. I imagine that it not a whole lot of light comes in. Like it's kind of like, fairly dark. So I'm going to, I've already kind of taken a couple of steps away from those two. So I'm going to very quickly like duck behind something in an attempt to use the shadows to my advantage. And I'm going to kind of like hop from one shadow to another.
Okay, nice. We talked about shadowy stuff. Do you have a move like that?
I do, and that's what I'm going to use. It's called Reign of Assassins, but like that's totally not on theme. But when you become undetectable using shadows and concealment, roll. On a hit, no one can see or interact with you until you decide they can. I can break this by choice or by attacking. And then on a 7 to 9, I remain hidden but leave some trace behind or alert a foe. And on a miss, my attempt fails, leaving me vulnerable. Can we guess what's probably going to happen when I roll this?
So why don't you roll that, and then we'll resolve. I assume the other two, you guys are getting into a duel with these folks. Did I get that right?
I'm dramatically leaping through fire to engage them.
Love it. So let's resolve the reign of cowards is what I'm going to call it now.
There we go. That's fine. I'll update my character sheet. Should I add my water to this for like awareness and wisdom to like be hiding?
Sure.
Like that's the approach. Okay.
Whichever element you want, so long as it's not marked.
Yes. So that's going to be a 6. So I trip and stumble. My flowing, colorful clothes kind of like catch fire, and I pat it out. But I am revealed.
Are you okay with the miss, or do you want to burn a bond to bump that to a 7?
Oh yeah, good point. I'm going to totally burn a bond with. Let's make it. I'm going to burn a bond with Scarlet Whirlwind.
It is my fire.
And I'm less impressive as a result of it. So yeah, I'm totally going to burn that to get the partial.
Great. So you remain hidden, but leave some trace behind or alert a foe. Is there anything you feel like you leave behind?
I think that they actually they are aware that there were 3 people in the room.
Right.
And so they know that I'm still in the room, but I haven't left. So obviously I'm hiding. So there's not that's the trace I left behind, is that they actually know that I'm hiding somewhere.
Right. And the man says, "We'll find you when we're done dealing with these 2. So now I need, we'll start with Hollow Knight. Are you using any special move, or are we just going to roll duel?
On my end, I don't think there's any particular move that I have that applies here. So I think we're just going to roll a duel here.
Well, actually, you're a hopeful apprentice. You have to prove yourself in your natural talent when you battle someone above your scale, and these 2 are well above your scale.
Cool.
You mark an element to keep your clearly superior foe busy. This gives others breathing rooms to perform other actions, protect people, or get something that they came for. If you do this to cover the group's escape, then everyone gets away, including yourself. So we can roll the duel, or if you want to do this to keep them busy while the others escape, you can mark an element.
I will do that. I want to protect Swift Hair, and so I will mark an element as I dramatically, reach within myself to fend these people off.
Sounds great. You are
capable. Is that gonna conflict with me fighting them anyway, like a dummy?
I was gonna ask, up to you, Scarlet Whirlwind, if you want to escape or not, or was there something else you wanted to do?
It seems a little rude on a metagaming level for me to make your move not get its full benefit, but also it's what my character would do.
Well, how about this? Can I also activate move 1 on my sheet called Savior of the Soul? I can offer advice to another PC and see if they ignore it. So I might yell to Scarlet Whirlwind, "Get out of here, this doesn't concern you, leave this to me."
Love it, that's great.
Wow.
And now it's your call what to do.
That's amazing. Let's see. What do I say when my person who I think is a friend tells me that? I think I'm touched, actually, and my like rage that had been boiling up just for a moment kind of cools down, and I don't reach out to put a hand on your shoulder because that would be not oblique enough, but like we can see that my hand moves just a little bit. And I say, no, I'll stand with you.
Great. Okay, so Scarlet Whirlwind, what are you doing to engage these foes?
Let's see. So one of them is also a chain wielder like me, and I think that has got me really annoyed. I think I even say like, "Oh, you're using chains, huh? Huh? That's my thing. Come on, what do you think you're doing?" And I like, uh, you know, throw out the chains, the very thin, fragile-looking chains attached to my two arms, trying to like tangle up with their chains. And I would like to use my kid with the golden arm move and try to break their chains if they are possible to break.
Okay, interesting. So we'll do 2 rolls. We'll do Kid with the Golden Arm, and then we'll do your duel. Um, we don't need to roll. It doesn't feel like we need to roll a duel for Hallowed Knight because of your hopeful apprentice. But you've created an avenue for Swift Hair at least to escape. So I'm going to ask Alex, why don't you roll for the kid with the golden arm?
Okie dokie. And do I roll plus an element?
Yes. Yeah, you always roll with an element.
Cool. So I think in terms of breaking them, what I'm actually going to try to do is when they're really heated up, or when they're really wrapped up with me, I'm going to try and like flare the heat out along my chains and just melt them.
Okay. So you're rolling with fire.
Yeah.
All right.
Woo. Okay. I got a 6 plus 2 is 8.
So you simply break it, and so you break their chains, or you can do something more spectacular if you mark an element.
Let's see. Spectacularly or with impressive control. I think I'll take just breaking it.
Okay. So part of the chain breaks off of the woman's weapon. These are far more substantial. So my sense is it doesn't really um, uh, render her unable to use it. She sort of smirks because now, whereas she had 1 chain, now she has 2 chains. So she's sort of like, she's now kind of revved up a little bit. Why don't we roll the duel?
Cool. So I'll roll that. And that one I always use my style element, is that right?
That's right.
Okie dokie. So I'll roll again with fire. Maybe a good roll this time. Nope, that's a 5, which takes me up to 7.
All right. So the thing is,
you know what I might do actually. I've got my my once a session move for the unorthodox where I can re-roll one of my dice.
Oh, right. Yeah, you kind of engage in your power. Sure.
Yeah, I think that this might be a good time for that.
Let me just point out one thing. You always lose a duel with
That's true.
Higher scale. The difference is whether you need to mark an element or not, and whether you get to narrate your spectacular loss. So, so I'll leave it up to you as to whether you want to do a reroll on that. In that case, I would basically say just we'd obviously you roll another die and we'll replace the 1 with whatever you want. Up to you.
Let's see. Yeah, well, sure, let's do it. I'd like to narrate losing. So I'll roll another 2d6 and we'll just take whatever the first one is, I guess. It was another 1. Brutal.
All right. So you need to mark you need to mark fire now.
Yep, that makes sense. I'm burnt out.
Which means you cannot fight now because you always roll with fire to fight.
That's great.
What does this loss look like?
Yeah. So I think that I I'm fighting, and I think it's this like, very cinematic, like both of us are just whirling chains around. Mine are these like glowing bright chains, and hers are these like very dark solid chains. And I think that there's a point in the fight where I like try to like whip my chains up and like pull the roof down on her. But as I'm about to do that, she like suddenly is very like in close under my guard where I had no idea she could move that fast. And then she just like gives me just a slap with the back of her hand, and I just go flying like through the wall and tumbling out of the building.
Nice.
No!
You are now rolling on the ground, maybe slapping cinders out of your clothing. Hallowed Knight, you've distracted them enough for Swift Hair to get out. Swift Hair, what does that look like, you escaping from the building?
Well, having seen what Righteous Deer did jumping out the window, I mean, I am her sibling, so hop.
Nice. You're like, why didn't I think of that before?
Yeah,
Great.
I mean, that was much better than hiding. But I wanted to, and besides, I need to go make sure that that Scarlet Whirlwind is okay.
Sure.
I am going to give Hallowed Knight like a thumbs up on the way out. I'm just actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put my hand on my shoulder and I'm going to look deep into her eyes and I'm going to say thank you for everything you do for us. And I'm going to jump out the window.
You're such a good friend.
Great friend.
And Hallowed Knight, why don't you narrate your escape for us?
Yeah, I think that I will have fended them off just long enough for the roof to come in like Scarlet Whirlwind did. And as the roof kind of collapses in the room a little bit, that gives me the out. It's like it collapses perhaps between us. And it creates this sort of black smoke screen of sorts. And when it clears, I have taken off myself.
Okay, nice. Those were, I imagine you are now fleeing the scene, and the two of them let you go feeling like maybe they've taught you a lesson. They are asking you to not pursue the rod of destiny.
I've learned nothing.
Yeah, I can assume you have not taken them up on their offer. These are Carp and Heron. They're twins, twin assassins. Carp is the man, and Heron is the woman. And now that you've been defeated in a duel, I feel like it seems like Hallowed Knight was the main one who was able to kind of hold them off based on her studies. I can see maybe Scarlet Whirlwind asking for some training.
Dang. Yeah, I mean that definitely makes sense. I can at least we'll catch up to you guys and just look like completely bedraggled. I think that her long proud braid has had like a good chunk of it just burnt off, and the the flashing light in her eyes is just like fully dim and dark looking, and she's just covered in soot, and her chains, instead of bright and silver, all look like just tarnished and soot blackened. So she's a real bedraggled remnant of her proud self.
Hallowed Knight, what do you say? How do you respond?
So you approach me and you're just, what exactly did you say, Scarlet Knight?
She even says anything. She's like, her arms are down by her sides and her chains are dragging on the ground. And she just walks up to you two and then like slumps against a tree and is just like staring into space.
I will kind of eye you sort of up and down with this very sort of judgmental look. You're thinking about how you look a bit of a mess, and even though I wouldn't express this, I feel frankly threatened by you because of the favor that Swiftair shows you. And so I would say, somewhat, I guess, hinting, I would say, you can turn back any time.
That's so mean. I love it. And I think of you as a friend. That might hit an inner turmoil for me, honestly. I might have been expecting like some comfort or support from you, and then you're just like, you can get out of here. And I just look up at you like,
So let's do an inner conflict roll.
Sweet. I'm gonna mark everything.
And by the way, I marked fire when I used that move to let everyone escape.
Nice. Let's say, all right, let's give me a decent chance. I think this is an opportunity for patience and growth if I can get through this being in my feels. So I'll roll with wood. And perhaps I will not fail. There we go. All right, I got a 9. Oh wait, I got an 11 because of the +2. Yay, I actually did well.
Right. You keep yourself together, so how do you respond?
So you said, what were your exact words again?
I said, you can turn back any time.
And I sort of nod, and I think I pull myself up and I look like back in the direction we've came, and I'm considering like, should I go back? And then I think about it, and I like look down at my hands and the soot and the like beaten upness that I've got all over me, and I say, "You're right. I can turn back, but you didn't turn your back on me. Friends don't turn their backs on each other."
Nice. Shall we fast forward to the town?
Fine with me.
Any objections to that? This is your main lead as to where you might learn more.
Yeah, we can do that.
About the Rod of Destiny. You have Quiet Flute's sword in your possession, I assume. Is that fair to say, or did you leave it behind?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we've got Quiet Flute's sword.
Okay. And what do you do when you get to the town? I don't know that you've got anything more than the detail on the sword.
If there's maybe a lead or some elder that I can track down, I have a move that allows me to seek the guidance of an elder, and they, on a hit, can tell me what to do. So maybe that's a possibility?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Maybe we can say that Dai Wen has talked about a calligraphy master here in this town, and so you seek out this person that Dai Wen mentioned.
Sure.
Go for it. Let's see which when did you roll?
So just to clarify, it doesn't say what I roll with. Do I just select one of my unmarked elements?
Yep.
Got it.
Unmarked element.
Got it. I think we'll do metal here. That's a controlled, calculated kind of thing that I'm doing here. So we're gonna roll with a +1. 5 doesn't do it.
This could not be more opposite than yesterday's game.
Yeah.
So just let me read your move. So you have to mark another element.
At a certain point, I just don't get to roll dice anymore.
Yeah, I do want to call
spiral
attention to comfort or support is a move that lets you clear harm from another PC. So you go to Dai Wen's friend, business connection. We'll call her Ninth Raven. And you see her teaching a calligraphy class, and she takes one look at you and looks at you inquisitively. How do you respond to her? I'm speaking to Hallowed Knight.
Sure. I would give her a very formal bow in the style that I've been taught by my master. And I introduce myself saying that we come in search of Quiet Flute, I believe is the character's name.
And she just looks at you and goes, Psst, and puts her hand up and refuses to engage with you.
I'm sorry, what seems to be the problem?
She doesn't even want to look, but she does start to look a little nervous. I'll also call your attention to the study move. This is basically a discern realities or search type move. So let me ask Scarlet Whirlwind, what are you doing while Hallowed Knight is trying to engage with this person?
I am.
Go with her here.
Let's see. I think I'm feeling kind of Scarlet Whirlwind is feeling kind of directionless, so I might just either wander after whatever Swift Hair is doing, or wander after Hallowed Knight if we're all going together.
Okay, Swift Hair, where did you end up?
Well, honestly, I want to take care of one of my two companions because they are basically like keeping me safe. So with Hallowed Knight having gone off in search of Ninth Raven, I think that I'd probably be outside with Scarlet Whirlwind, and I want to attempt to buoy her spirits.
Perfect.
So Scarlet Whirlwind, I would you were out of control and you are calm now, but I can tell that you're exhausted. And I think that we need to do something to help improve your spirit, something that will make you feel much better about yourself as I lean in closer. And I say, please turn around. I will reweave your hair for you.
That's so nice.
And so I will brush out your hair and I'll do it in a tight little, like, braid, so that you look magnificent as you should.
Great. Oh, that's really sweet, actually.
All right, Swift Hair, you should roll.
Yeah, let's see what trash fire I get this time. I hit the button. We need to hit it again. Hey, that's a natural 6 on that. I'm obviously doing this with being honest, I have to say that I would probably use the wood approach, which is a -1 for me, because like curiosity is there, because I'm curious what Scarlet Whirlwind's hair feels like. And this is my first chance to actually brush the hair of the person who I am romantically interested in. So that gives me a 5.
You really want to go with a 5? Wow.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I admire that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Let's do it. I'm the only one who doesn't have anything marked yet.
Yeah. So you lovingly start to comb her hair, but I know as someone who's had to brush the hair of a child, they get tangled and they get really mad at you and it starts to really hurt. And they're like, you know what, just don't stop it. Don't do that. And I feel like that's maybe what's happening.
Yeah, I can
have
give that
no
detangler
sure. with me.
Yeah.
So
that's great. I think that what I do actually is, the hair is also like burnt, so like it's stiff and weird, and like parts of it are like coming out as you're trying to like rebraid it, and she just like is getting increasingly like frustrated, and eventually she just takes a loop of the chain, wraps it around the end of the braid, and it just heats up for a second, and she just slices the whole thing off. And I think I don't turn around and look at you. I just stand there like it falls to the ground, and I'm just holding the chain like wrapped around my fist, and my fist is just like shaking tight.
So now you've got like an Alanis Morissette mom haircut.
That was intense. Let's come back to Hallowed Night. You've been negged by the old calligraphy teacher.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
First of all, do I have to mark an element for failing the proud youth roll?
No.
Consult the other. Nothing is marked there. It just doesn't work. I appreciate you pointing out that she's nervous, though. I would like to see if I can read body language or look around me to see what's going on here.
Okay. So that's the steady roll. And that's basically the kind of search or discern realities. What are you rolling with?
I'm going to roll with Earth because caution is indicated here.
Sweet.
So we have a +0, natural 4.
Oh my gosh.
Comedy of errors.
Yes. She looks at you like incredulous, like you're still here. And she says, I did not think I would have to ask a student of Dai Wen to leave during a lesson, but obviously he has not taught you well. You must leave immediately. And you see a couple of the students start to stand up and look at you. They are also holding large calligraphy spears.
Similar, yeah. Well, I can certainly tell when I'm not wanted, so I'll offer my apologies and with no small amount of shame and embarrassment, take my leave.
Okay. You now, none of you have any leads as to where to go to figure out what to do next. Do you have any ideas as to where you want to go or what you want to do? Or should we Deus Ex Machina this?
I could easily run off distraught and bumble into an appropriate scene.
I actually really like that. I think that would be amazing.
And actually, have we had Grand Fox show up? I guess he was briefly at the beginning.
Just a little at the beginning, yeah.
Maybe he comes back. He is in the town. This is obviously the town next, as close to his HQ, and he sees you and comes up to you and says, you look like you have lost a battle. What have you done to shame me?
And I just like drop to my knees and bow and like put my forehead into the dirt, and I say, I'm so sorry, Master. I wasn't strong enough. I failed you so many times today. I don't know what to do.
You should do what anyone does when one is confronted with challenges beyond their capabilities. You should train. And he looks over at Hollowed Knight, who for some reason he doesn't like. He wants revenge against you, Hollowed Knight. And he looks at you and then looks back at Scarlet Whirlwind and says, and you should stop spending time with misguided souls. Turns on his heel, or actually he pauses there.
Cool. He earlier had ordered me to keep an eye on her, so I'm like, but I don't say anything. And I just say, I thought I could control my power, but it feels like it's controlling me.
Let me guide you then. Let me show you how to control your power. And he sort of lets his fingers light up a bit and then he looks around, make sure no one can see.
Cool. I raise my head up.
So we can try a move called New Technique, when you go off to develop a new technique to face a foe of higher scale, describe your montage and roll, and you would roll plus the number of times you've met, in this case, Carp and Heron, in battle. Is that something you'd like to try?
Yeah, that seems cool.
So he says, come with me. So tell me what this montage looks like.
Yeah. Let's see. So I think that this is like a technique that involves like strengthening your physical body by going through like ordeals. So I think there's like a series of like underground caves that are increasingly like hot and like full of lava and stuff, and so I have to like go into each one and like stay there for like an hour and or for some amount of time. So I'm continually like tempering my body so that I can endure this heat. Yeah, I think that seems
That's great.
cool.
That's great. And I'm also sort of imagining you like on a stone pillar under the ground with sort of the lava all around. And you're silhouetted against the lava. And you're kind of practicing your moves, and your mentor is on another pillar far away. And maybe you have to do these huge leaps across the pillars to get out. Love it. Why don't you roll? So you'd roll +1 because you'd face them once.
Alrighty. Let's see how this goes.
Good luck.
Thank goodness I got a total of 10.
Nice.
All right, finally.
So you feel like a renewed sense of confidence when you next face. And so you've gained scale, essentially. Mechanically, that means when you next fight with them, you're fighting at the same scale.
Great, and there's not even a significant cost to learning this. How nice.
Yeah, I mean, you were surrounded by lava, but whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. That's regular for me.
I had this idea. Tell me what you think about this. Maybe as her name was Ninth Raven. She's the calligraphy teacher who shushed or got rid of Hallowed Night. As she comes out to make sure that you're really leaving, she sees Swift Hair, because you are a wanderer. You have wandered through this town before, and she recognizes you, and maybe she has a thing for you, because everybody has a thing for Swift Hair.
That's the real title of this game. Everybody loves Swift Hair.
Listen, Ninth Raven has an inner beauty that shows through her smile.
She says, Swift Hair, I did not know you were here. Why didn't you send me a message in advance to let me know that you were coming through town?
Oh, absolutely. Honestly, we traveled faster than the messenger would have came. I was just this morning in Name of Other Town, and we are on an adventure. We are seeking Quiet Flute. It would seem that they have stolen the Rod of Destiny from Other Town, and we need to return it. It is, while it may not necessarily be a mystical artifact, this rod, it is of great importance. And considering that I call that home, I've traveled here. It is so wonderful to be in your presence yet again. I remember the last time that I was here, and the music that we played together was beautiful.
Are you still playing the insert instrument name here?
Yes, the insert instrument here. I have grown in great scale. My shamisen skills have grown. So yes, I was just playing a concert this morning to a packed audience.
You killed. I feel like this is Hearts and Minds. What are you trying to get her to do?
I'm trying to get her to tell me about Quiet Flute. That's what I'd like to know. I'd like to gather some information. Being a respected teacher, Ninth Raven may know something. So, all right. So let's see. So, what element am I using for this? I think this is going to be passion, because of blah blah blah. So So let's go ahead and roll some passion. You know what? I'm actually going to name this dice roll passion, and maybe that will get me higher than a 6. I got an 8. Nice. With +2 from my fire, that is 10. That's my first success today. I'm going to call.
Congratulations. They do what you want. So just describe this this scene to me.
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask questions. I'm like, are you aware that Quiet Flute is in the area? And if you do you know where we might find them?
The rumor is that Quiet Flute did pass through here and was ambushed, and they took her sword. She herself was unharmed, but is now unable to recover the Rod of Destiny, which is what she had intended to do. I know that she is how do I make this work? Because you all have the sword, so she could just come and get it back from you. So she could be kidnapped, but then she would not have been one of the players or characters that we have already met.
You know, I thought we had the sword, but it turns out that I didn't grab it on the way out of town. I'm so sorry. I really thought it was in my backpack. I'm so irresponsible. You know, sometimes responsible deer, I'm sorry, righteous deer is right.
Let's think about this. If she were kidnapped and you could not have met her already, why would she not want to use the sword? She doesn't want to reveal herself, maybe. I don't know. Any ideas?
Are we trying to keep her Quiet Flute away from us? Is that what the goal is?
He was sort of a good guy.
Okay.
But if she's a good guy, then, and maybe one of the people that we've already met, like Righteous Deer or Misty Swallow, the patron of the arts. But maybe she didn't feel like she could go in to get the Rod of Destiny herself. So for some reason, she feels like she can't recover the Rod of Destiny because it is in her enemy's headquarters, namely the headquarters of Obsidian Doctrine. So she says, Ninth Raven says to you, the rumor is that the rod has been removed to the headquarters of the Obsidian Doctrine, and Quiet Flute is unable to breach their borders, but she knows that you three can.
I love that I was just there training. I just don't know about the rod.
Yeah, maybe you don't know that that Obsidian Doctrine is trying to take the Rod of Destiny, and maybe they're trying to take it for the right reasons, right?
Something even more important than fishing.
All right, so you now need to head to the Obsidian Doctrine's headquarters. We are on the verge of a break. How do you react to this news, Swift Hair?
I'm shocked. I can't believe that the Obsidian Doctrine would be behind this, and especially given given the connection that Scarlet Whirlwind and myself have. I can't believe that I would be betrayed by someone who is so close to my heart.
Scarlet Whirlwind, how do you react to this news?
Let's see. Am I coming up fortuitously in time to hear this conversation?
Yes.
Sweet. So I think, boy, what do I do? Ooh, good question. I say, Well, surely there must be some mistake. My master Grant Fox would never perpetrate such a dastardly act. It must be some other faction within the doctrine.
And Ninth Raven kind of snorts when you mentioned Grand Fox. And Hallowed Knight, how do you react to this?
Of course it was these people. These are the people that Scarlet Whirlwind is always adhering to their doctrines and is always taking lessons from them and is following their philosophy. Well, of course they're the villains in this story. So I am more than willing to go out there and take back the rod.
Just because we live in an underground lava temple. People are so short-sighted.
And as you are getting this news and reacting to it, the mountain where Obsidian Doctrine's headquarters are, you can kind of see it in the near distance, starts to rumble, and lava starts to pour out of the top and make its way towards not just the village that you're in, but your own village as well. So the volcano of the Obsidian Doctrine has started to erupt. They probably used the Rod of Destiny in some magical way to cause this eruption, and now lava is flowing towards you. All right, friends, we are in the final throes. Thank you for bearing with me as I kind of navigated the complicated narrative arc we've been building.
I mean, we gave you something really easy to work with.
Yeah,
right?
it's just a perfect web of. So we have some choices in front of us. First time I played this game, our GM said in our final kind of session, he was like, do you guys want to do a big boss battle or should we not do a big boss battle? So I'm going to ask you the same question. Should this part be a boss battle or should we do something else? How are you feeling about it?
Well, the main thing that would influence my decision is looking at time constraints. We've got about 23 minutes here.
Yep.
And I don't know mechanically how long those kinds of large dramatic scenes take to play out. So I'm open to one, but I also want to make sure that we have room to have, a good conclusion that comes to a good landing and it feels right and it's not too overly rushed.
Okay. To your point, we could just fast forward to you've recovered the rod. What are the consequences of that? Or you haven't recovered the rod. What are the consequences of that? Thanks. Other ideas?
I mean, being honest, I'm game for any option. I can roll with it. I think that. I mean, my thought is honestly a boss battle, but not so much about the battle, but the drama between the three characters who are involved in the scene about what's going on. Like, Swift Hair being in danger, Hollowed Knight being super competent, Scarlet, sorry, I don't have the tab open, Scarlet Whirlwind, going like crazy, but in a good way this time.
Right.
Like,
let me ask a different question, and that is, where do you want your character to land? What is the arc you're hoping for your character? David, what are you thinking?
For Hallowed Knight, I think that it would be good if we could. Actually, could we have someone else answer that question first and let me think on that for a minute?
Totally. Alex, where do you think Scarlet Whirlwind's going to end up here?
Let's see.
I feel like she becomes jaded about Obsidian Doctrine, or maybe she becomes recommitted to it.
Right, yeah, that is sort of my big question. I think becoming jaded seems cool. Maybe I can end up turning against them.
Okay, so you sort of reject your master.
Yeah.
He does want revenge against your friend. So.
Right.
Yeah, all right.
That maybe if we can figure out a revelation of why he wants that.
I like
and
that.
then I can be like, that's a terrible reason.
I like that. Swift Hair, what are you thinking?
I want Swift Hair to open his eyes to the beauty and love that is Hollowed Knight. She's been by his side for this entire adventure, taking care of him and like putting him first. And so like Swift Hair is going to start to reciprocate that. So that's where I want to go with that.
I like that. Hollowed Knight.
That's funny that you should say that, because I was literally going to say that she sees the folly of investing too much time and energy into unrequited love. So
Yes!
there you go.
I love it.
That sounds great. You have recovered the rod. You have stopped the lava flow. You are making your way out of Obsidian Doctrine's volcano. And who should appear but Grand Fox? What do you say to him, Scarlet Whirlwind?
I say, Master, thank goodness you're here. We were able to stop this nefarious plot, which I assume must be by your bitter rival, Majestic Turtle.
I had no idea you had a rival. Oh my gosh.
Well, we've got this whole fox turtle thing going on.
That was Dean's joke that I stole from the chat, just to be clear.
Perfect.
Good.
Got to get it on the map, though. Grand Fox says, yes, I suppose it was Majestic Turtle's plot. You are right. That's fine. Why have you not sought revenge like I asked you against Hollowed Knight? He's being a little sarcastic.
That's great. So I'd say I have seen nothing but the most selfless friendship from Hollowed Knight. I admit I don't know what your problem is with her.
And he says, he kind of loses it. He's like, damn you. Why are you so loyal to your friends but not to your master? It was me who started the lava flow. I wanted to clear this valley, this river valley of these ridiculous villages with their fishing. They could be so much more. Scarlet Whirlwind.
I am like shocked. And I can't fight right now because my fire is marked, which is interesting. So I will talk my way through this. And I let's see, what do I say? So I say, you can't have this. Must be part of some. I thought you had a complicated scheme or something. This is what? How could you? And I'm just like totally can't process it.
Can I perhaps interject kind of something that Hollowed Knight might do here? My thinking is that as he reveals that this was his scheme all along, I have this shift in focus so that I realize that I've been investing all of my time into this Swift Hair individual who has, I have this unrequited love for, when in actuality I was treating my true friend all along like dirt because of assumptions. So there's this switch that clicks, and I suddenly realize, no, this is the person who I really should have been loyal to all this time. And so I will sort of step forward and say to him, I'll say to him, Scarlet Whirlwind has served this, valley or wherever we are. Scarlet Whirlwind has served this valley admirably. We want no part of you or your schemes. I stand with her.
And he starts to look a little nervous. He's eyeing your spear, knowing what it is capable of. He basically says, damn you, and flees. He leaves the scene. Swift Hair, how do you react to what Hallowed Knight just said?
I'm going to walk up to Hallowed Knight and put my hand on her shoulder and stare her in the eyes and say, "You are magnificent. What you've done here with Grand Fox. You are a fine person, and I am glad to call you more than a friend."
It's horrible timing, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh no. Might I do one more inner turmoil roll, or
seems like the time
just
for
to
it.
see? Yeah.
Why we're here.
What do I have left here as far as elements that I still have tapped? I will let's go for, I think, wood here. I think this is a character growth moment.
You are not allowed to roll inner conflict with your style element.
Bummer. Okay, next best thing I think would be metal based upon the reflection element. I think this is a reflective kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we'll do that with a +1. 6.
Do you want to spend a bond to get you to 7?
Yes, I will burn my bond with Swift Hair. And get that to a 7.
So you can flee the scene or mark an element.
I will stay in the scene, and I will mark, I think, Earth. Yeah, because I will appear probably somewhat uncaring or aloof in my response here. And I guess, I feel so bad doing this. I guess I will nod and give a warm yet distant smile and say, "And you, Swift Hair, I am proud to call a wonderful friend."
Swift Hair.
Not cool. Not cool. So let's see. Yeah, Swift Hair is definitely not too keen on that. I kind of look to my backup over at Scarlet Whirlwind and try to lock eyes with her.
Yeah, and I think I've like sort of am wondering, looking between the two of them, and I sort of murmur, like almost to myself, but of course we're in like a quiet cave so everyone can hear it. You know, a turtle's shell is strong, but it only protects himself.
So good.
I'd like an inner turmoil roll as I try to figure out who loves me. Like,
I feel so bad. Your character's not a bad guy. I just hate to shut the poor guy down.
No, my character is a trash person.
It is true that he hasn't actually done a lot of nice or helpful things for other people.
My goal with being Swift Hair and my fighting style is to do nothing and make you all do it.
Yeah, it's
so
great.
He's a trash person. I'm gonna roll Who Loves Me. That's a 5 on the dice.
Yes.
You thought you could do was play the guitar and braid hair, and you did neither of those things.
No. I'm a trash person by personality and a trash person by the dice. And my internal conflict, which I'm trying to like use my passion, so my fire, takes me to a 7 on inner conflict. So my choice is, as my character do, which is flee the scene.
Okay. Where do you go?
I go to a new town to try and start this all over. This has gotten complicated. I'm just going to go to another town. Maybe I'll find 10th Raven, and it will all be good.
And when you arrive in that town, someone approaches you. This is a town that's known for its blacksmithing. and someone approaches you and says, Swifthair, we are so glad you are here. Someone has stolen the Hammer of Destiny from our festival, and we need someone to help find
I can't believe that they would do such a thing. The Hammer of Destiny is so important to this town. Who's with me?
Wow.
Let's come back to, and we're done with Swifthair. Hallowed Knights and Scarlet Whirlwind, what do you two end up doing?
I'm looking at Alex's thought in the chat, and honestly, I think that after all of this, Hallowed Knight would probably take some amount of time, however many months or years or whatever, to focus basically upon herself and finding herself, and instead of basing so much of her self-worth and happiness upon the affection of other people.
That's great.
I'm also picturing there's sort of this closing montage of you kind of wandering a little bit and kind of visiting different towns and improving your skills. And when you come back to your home village, you are visited by Quiet Flute, who ends up being Misty Swallow, the patron of the rich patron of the arts. She removes her garb, and you see her kind of fighting garb underneath, removes her outer garb, and you see her fighting garb underneath. So it's very clear that she is Quiet Flute, and she just silently hands you her sword and says, "You are now the protector of this town."
I would absolutely accept that.
And seeing Scarlet Whirlwind, your world is a mess.
Yeah.
Where are we going to land with you?
So I think that I'm looking at the entryway back into the temple, and I just like shake my head and like lash a chain out at it, and it like collapses the entrance. Not like the whole temple, but I'm just shutting that door behind me, and as I'm parting from Hallowed Knight, I say, your spear is so sharp that even my master didn't dare to face it. But I've been working on this new body strengthening technique. Why don't we meet up again in a year, and we'll see if your blade is sharper than my skin is strong.
Well, that's a challenge worthy of my attention.
I'm imagining Scarlet Whirlwind's a little dejected, continuing the training, but maybe a little bit lonely. She's lost her master. She's lost her friend. She's lost her romantic interest.
Clearly, I'm not getting together with his sister after this. Also, that engagement's getting broken off.
I guess that's the question: is Righteous Deer still going to marry you or not?
I think no. I think I just leave. I don't even tell anyone. I'm just like, well, time to face east and start walking into the desert.
And as you begin your walk, you are approached by a tailless cat who comes up to you and says, they thought I was dead, but I've been here the whole time. Would you like some company?
That's amazing. So I pat my shoulder for the cat to jump up and ride on it.
So Short Star was not dead after all.
Yay!
He's got 8 lives left.
Yeah. All right, friends. Thanks for coming with me on that journey.